When there is finally positive momentum, you can always count on the Democratic Party to immediately squash any joy really that we have going on. So it looks like the government shutdown is nearing an end after a quote unquote deal was reached between the Republicans and Democrats. And you will hear in a second why I'm putting air quotes around that word deal, because the deal included a promise, a pinky promise, I guess, agreement to vote on the Affordable Care Act subsidies in December. So pushing that down the road. And guys, note that is just a vote. So it's no actual policy. It's not even a pinky promise agreement to continue extending the subsidies. So all that's going to happen is, even if there is a vote, it's all going to be performative in nature because there's no way it is passing. So basically, they got nothing out of that other than performative nonsense. So nothing on healthcare. And then the other thing they got was an agreement that reversed and prohibited further layoffs that were happening to federal employees that had been initiated during the shutdown. And those employees who had received layoff notices would be reinstated and paid. So like normal stuff that happens with shutdowns. So long story short, guys, this was the deal, quote unquote, before the government was even shut down. So essentially, the Democrats did all of this nonsense and posturing for what? So people struggled to get their SNAP benefits. People were struggling with travel through airline. For what reason? To have the public believe you actually cared about healthcare. And I guess I and many of us were just bamboozled and thought there was a moment in time that the Democratic Party was actually going to stand on principle, stand on courage, and actually fight for working class people. But I guess I'm an idiot, honestly, for thinking that. The only thing this looks like, and this looks really gross if it's the truth, is they did this shutdown in order to win the elections we just did and never actually cared about fighting for healthcare. Now, guys, Democratic representatives are obviously not all the same. There is a diverse group, but the reality is there is a bunch of ugly stuff that happens behind closed doors that I'm going to explain a little bit in a moment, and why a lot of people are calling for Chuck Schumer to step down, honestly, immediately based on this agreement. And guys, this is just like, yet again, another gun punch for a party that just time and time again just lets down their constituents. And then they sit back and wonder why they lose elections. Okay, even though the policies generally are on their side, but they never actually get anything done. It's all nonsense. It's all show. But when it comes down to it, they do not follow through. They did not get any agreement that's going to help us with healthcare. So all you're going to see is healthcare premium spike. And then if this vote does happen, like I said, it's just going to be shot down. So they got absolutely nothing. So at the kindest way I could say this is it's just ineptitude, like a lack of know-how and political skill. But guys, I do not think that is the case. I think this was very strategic because those 8 people, who I will give the names in a second, who flipped and are voting along with the Republicans, they are not up for primary in 2026. So what strategically is happening behind the scenes is they're not just 8 Democrats who don't want this. There are far more than 8, but they want to posture and make it seem like, no, we are fighting for you guys. We care about healthcare costs, but we're going to go and our actions are going to do the exact opposite. So they picked guys strategically, Democratic leadership. And once again, I am not talking about like the progressive flank. I'm going to tell you in a second, Ro Khanna's already calling for Chuck Schumer to be replaced right now and step down. So I'm not talking about all of them, but I'm talking about guys, the entrenched, corporatist, centrist Democrats that have been in power for most of my lifetime and most of your lifetime if you are actually listening to this. So these are the 8 individuals now. Once again, none of them are up for primary in 2026. That was a strategic choice to have them vote. And other than really, guys, Tim Kaine, because of his proximity, with Virginia's proximity to DC, I may give him a little bit of pass, because there could be a reasonable argument for him and how much his constituents are directly hurting due to the locality. And then Fetterman, guys. Fetterman is just he's a different category at this point. He should honestly just change to a Republican. He has been one of the most disappointing politicians in my lifetime because he ran on a progressive platform to get elected and then immediately turncoated the second he got into office. And it was a really critical election because he was going against Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania, and he basically lied to get the position and then immediately switched all of his policy positions. So Fetterman to me is just like in another category of just disappointment. But other than Tim Kaine, the 6 other individuals you see here, guys, we have to do our best to not forget about this vote in this moment. And although Chuck Schumer, guys, is not listed here and voted no, quote unquote, he is either, once again, completely inept in his ability to lead the Democrats and make sure we do not have this many people breaking rank, or he's actually politically savvy, knew what he was doing, made sure that people who would not be up for primaries were the ones who voted because he didn't really care about the healthcare costs. Guys, what we have to realize is so many of these Democrats and like every Republican, they're part of that super elite rich class. They're not going to be touched or affected by these healthcare costs. And they don't really, unfortunately, care to serve the public in the way they should. They are benefiting from this corrupt system, so why change it? But Ro Khanna, as I said, I want to give some credit here in this terrible situation. He did come out and basically immediately spoke out against Chuck Schumer and his leadership of the Democrats in the Senate.
Chuck Schumer needs to be replaced as minority leader for caving to Donald Trump. Look, I may be the first and only member of Congress to say this, but someone needs to start speaking the truth. If you're not willing to fight to stop premium hikes on 20 million Americans, then what are you willing to fight for?
I really, really hope, guys, that AOC steps up and just primaries Chuck Schumer, because not only could that maybe get her into the head of the Senate by entrenching the current leader, but it will get rid of Chuck Schumer, who just has shown with the big, beautiful bill. And now anytime we need leadership to step up, he is not fit. He's not ready. He's not capable of doing what we need in this moment. And he proves that time after time again. And I just wish more Democrats would have the courage to stand up against those within their own house, because honestly, many centrist Democrats, corporate Democrats who take those large donations are just as big of a hindrance to things getting done that will help me and you than their Republican counterparts. They're just as guilty because they don't get anything done either that helps you or me. And guys, I will finish leading into this with Bernie Sanders. This is him speaking on the floor, really just breaking down and explaining the devastation that this decision in ending the government shutdown is going to have on millions of Americans.
What this Senate is about to do is make a horrific situation even worse. So let's be clear what this vote is about. If this vote succeeds, over 20 million Americans are going to see at least a doubling in their premiums in the Affordable Care Act. And my friends, know what you are voting on. Studies are out there that when you throw 15 million people off health care, some 50,000 of our fellow Americans will die unnecessarily every single year. Anyone think that's funny? Something to laugh at? Something to just go past? I don't.
So ultimately, guys, you can think of people like Bernie Sanders, myself, as crazy far-left lunatics, right? Extremists, as Trump and his allies would say. But ultimately, guys, my political ideology, I can kind of make it very clear in this situation. I do not feel like we should be set up in a situation by our political leaders where door A is, all right, you'll get to eat, but you may not be able to afford to see your doctor this year. And the other door, door B, is you'll get to see your doctor, but I'm not sure if you're going to be fully nourished when you see them because I'm not sure if you're going to be able to feed yourself and your family. So if that makes me an extremist for thinking we need to rework the system to work better for us, so be it. Thank you for watching and being part of a growing progressive community. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you have the time, check out some of my other episodes you can see around me. Thank you.